Hello, my name is Cassie Burtz, and I did my fall 2015 environmental science course research paper on the human impact on coral reefs and marine populations, focusing briefly on the Hawaiian Islands. So it's evident that we are experiencing higher temperatures than normal this year, affecting a variety of things, like no snow during a winter in Wisconsin, but also the coral reefs in Hawaii. Coral bleaching occurs when the water is too warm, causing stress to the colorful corals. When these stressful events occur, algae will expel, leaving the coral without nutrients as well as a bleached white appearance. With coral reefs being one of the most useful ecosystems, such damage takes a toll on marine populations as well, especially on those which use the corals as shelter and protection. Although some suggest that the warmer ocean surface temperatures are from weather patterns caused by the El Niño, it has been confirmed that human activity also plays an extensive role. This concept is also prompted in Ecosystems and Communities by Robert Lovely. And side note, this is our textbook for the environmental science course. In the text, it's stated, average temperature rise of only 1 degree can lead to coral bleaching. El Niño events, for example, can cause massive coral die-offs, and marine biologists are concerned about the effects global warming will have on coral reefs. Other forms of stress include ocean acidification, pollution, particularly eutrophication, sedimentation, and disease. This is on page 87. Ocean acidification is a direct result from increased concentrations of carbon dioxide. The rise of carbon dioxide correlates directly with the increased universal engagement of burning fossil fuels. With excess carbon dioxide being absorbed by the ocean, the global trend is occurring at a rapid pace with little to no limitations governing the production of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases by burning fossil fuels. Unfortunately, many partake in the damage, yet aren't directly affected by the effects of burning fossil fuels, therefore misleading an individual to believe it isn't necessary to reduce their carbon footprint. The obligation to stop contamination of the oceans may become more relevant once it is known that the loss of all marine populations and seafood may occur within our lifetime. But the issue isn't just that we'll no longer have seafood on our plate, but almost all saltwater fish will be extinct by 2048, a prediction made by Boris Worm on the November 2006 issue of Science. And side note, if it is being published by Science, it should be taken into deep consideration. In the article, the oceans could be dead by the year 2048, it is warned. Worm has predicted that by year 2048, the ocean will be devoid of fish, which, if it occurs, would effectively end life as we know it on planet Earth. This proves that the ocean plays a vital role in our own survival, even if we don't live along the coastlines or eat seafood. Not only do marine species and coral reefs filter toxins, but they also bring in an industry of food, medicine, jobs, and tourism affecting the overall global economy. The amount of goods and services offered by coral reefs and marine populations is incalculable. In Coral Reefs by Anup Shah, it's presented that the U.S. agency National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration puts the economic value even higher and says that coral reefs provide economic services, jobs, foods, and tourism estimated to be worth as much as $375 billion each year. From the article, it should also be noticed that a report from the World Resources Institute in 1998 suggested that as much as 60% of the Earth's corals are threatened by human activity. With the year 1998 being 17 years ago, it could be concluded that the amount of coral reefs threatened by human activity now has risen past the 60% that was predicted then. With the reefs providing home and shelter to over 25% of fish in the ocean and up to 2 million marine species, the collapse of the coral reefs may be the apocalypse we never saw coming. Even if we were able to dramatically reduce carbon dioxide emissions tomorrow, the extent of damage to the environment already cost would cost billions of dollars and may even take many, even hundreds of years to recover. With the coral reef issue having little media coverage, the reefs are scarcely being actively monitored and studied for a solution. According to John Weir in Mapping the Decline of Coral Reefs, it stated, because reef habitats are so complex and because worldwide reef monitoring and mapping efforts only began a little over a decade ago, scientists simply do not have enough information to keep tabs on the destruction of the reefs, let alone come up with an effective solution. Even without many scientific accounts on specific areas yet, it remains clear that the human impact on these fragile reefs have been detrimental. In Weir's article, it also makes the claim. Another report published by the World Resources Institute states that 58% of all reefs are at serious risk from human development. All of these reports point to human activity as the primary reason for the decline of the reefs. Clearly, the importance of taking personal action should be considered top priority, concluding that this issue is not only an environmental crisis, but an ethical dilemma as well. The possibility of a future environmental catastrophe is especially applicable in Hawaii. With many tourists traveling to the islands to enjoy the beauty of the coral reefs, bleaching along the shorelines has recently become an issue to the tourism economy that Hawaii relies on. And scientists expect Hawaii's worst coral bleaching ever. By Donald Webster, it is expressed. Hotter than ordinary ocean temperatures around Hawaii this year will probably prompt the most exceedingly awful coral bleaching the islands have ever seen, while also taking into consideration that numerous corals are just barely recuperating from a year ago's bleaching. Most do not take into consideration how it's much easier to survey the corals close to shore, but the corals in uninhabited places go unnoticed, and therefore may be experiencing the worst of the bleaching. With Hawaii being home to 85% of the coral in U.S. territories, preserving the coral there should be the first step in finding a solution. As global coral bleaching events have been occurring more frequently, it is clear that the ocean's chemistry has been altered and Hawaii could be the most affected. In an NBC article, Bleaching Poses a Threat to Hawaii's Coral Reefs, it's understood that the damage is not only affecting the corals. It stated, Hawaii's economy is so fundamentally tied to the corals, says Ruth Gates, a research professor at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology. Bleaching has affected as much as 60% of the state's coral since last fall, she said. And as the article goes on, it points out that tourism and fishing activity are themselves threats to the coral reefs, according to the United Nations Environmental Program. But they cite climate-related bleaching as the largest single cause of a 27% loss of coral reefs since 2000. Luckily, though, once a coral is in a bleached state, it has the ability to bounce back. But this will only occur if the coral does not have any human interaction, once again proving the impact of humans on coral reefs, which ultimately impacts the marine populations. However, the idea of another bleaching event could cause Hawaii to go out of business. With coral making up only 1% of the underwater ecosystem, a death sentence for Hawaii's economy and the entire ocean could be occurring sooner rather than later. In the past, coral reefs have done an incredible job of dealing with natural changes and the ability of repairing itself, except the human impact has caused unrepairable damage. In a World Wildlife Fund report, Coral Reefs, it stated, coral reefs have survived tens of thousands of years of natural change, but many of them may not be able to survive the havoc wrought by humankind. Roughly one quarter of coral reefs worldwide are already considered damaged beyond repair, with another 2/3 under serious threat. Even with corals being a priority species to the World Wildlife Fund, these facts continue to worsen every day due to human activity. Some of the main threats to coral reefs done by humans include overfishing and destructive fishing, careless tourism, and pollution, among many other things, all being generated due to carelessness. Even though 1/4 of the coral reefs are damaged beyond repair, creating policies regulating production of carbon dioxide and human activity near the ocean may be what it takes to protect the 2/3 of coral reefs that are under serious risk. The threat of human-induced global warming has brought many species on the brink of extinction. This is a result of changing the ocean's temperatures, which causes the supply of the ocean's nutrients. As many have learned, once one section of the food chain is affected, the entire food chain reacts. And climate change will ruin Hawaii, new study suggests by James Cave that this concept is described. Warmer oceans and higher ocean acidity which could trigger massive coral bleaching, marine migration, and affect the ocean's circulation and the way it distributes nutrients. Many know this theory as the ripple effect, and therefore a little change can have a big consequence. With the food chain being affected, the ocean chemistry has changed, leading to stronger wind systems which cause extreme weather events such as hurricanes and cyclones. Surprisingly, shoreline coral reefs are able to reduce the heavy impact on the land when storms hit or when the regular everyday trade winds start acting up in Hawaii. As coral reefs also offer protection, many are misinformed on all the positive impacts coral reefs have on the environment. Many mistake corals as rock-like objects, but unbeknown they are actually living animals that eat, grow, and reproduce. In Hawaii, natives have always had a great respect for their land and wildlife, causing an overall long-term demand for preserving their homeland as a common top priority by all locals. Fortunately, with this mindset, some action has been taken to save the coral reefs. According to Stephen Chang in Facts About Hawaii's Coral Reef Ecosystem, it stated, the majority of the nation's coral reefs are found around the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. Except for Midway and Kure atolls, these islands, atolls, and reefs were set aside by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1909 in what is known as the Hawaiian Islands National Wildlife Refuge. This refuge provides the necessary environment for endangered and threatened species that exist nowhere else in the world. It is also the world's largest marine conservation area. Although it was initially meant as a bird sanctuary, many marine species thrive here as well, contributing to a crowded population, demonstrating that this type of legal protection is necessary in other areas of the world. With the widespread variety of life sustained by coral reefs, the necessity of keeping them around is not only important for marine species, but also remarkably important for humanity. Not only are these reefs essential for marine species and spectacularly beautiful, they are also one of the most ecologically, economically, and culturally important species existing in the world. Raising awareness and being environmentally responsible can make the slightest difference, and hopefully even set an example for others. As predicted, the increase of temperatures caused by global warming will only increase in severity and frequency in the coming years. Whether it is or isn't justifiable to come to the conclusion that humans are the cause, many accept the much easier and effortless belief of leaving it up to the scientists and marine biologists to find the solution of the massacre of the coral reefs. Except this is an inaccurate perspective. For the coral reefs and marine population survival, it is essential that we reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Each and every person in the world contributes to polluting the air, which pollutes the ocean, but each and every person also has the ability to change. And as well-known and respected Gandhi once said, "You must not lose faith in humanity. Humanity is an ocean. If a few drops of the ocean are dirty, the ocean does not become dirty." Alright, that is the end of my research paper. Thank you for watching.